Hi, my name is Keith and I'm known as the Florida Stone Man, and today I'm going to talk to you all about amethyst. This is a video that I don't really study much for. I just go straight off of what I know and what I live about amethyst. With all my crystal knowledge, I don't remember anything. I don't rely on sources offline or just even things that I write in the past before. I just tell you my straightforward knowledge about what I live with amethyst, my knowledge with helping people with amethyst, and my knowledge from basically surrounding myself with amethyst. I have amethyst everywhere. This is amethyst from Uruguay. It comes in a really dark form. This is top grade amethyst. It's really deep in purple. It's very protective. It is very fierce in how it guards you. So basically amethyst, the word amethyst translates to basically to be sober. So how does that help you? Well, for example, in the Catholic Church way back then, they used to put amethyst in their wine. They put amethyst as goblets because it helps them stay sober when they drink. It's a stone that does not completely stop you from getting intoxicated, but it helps you break bad habits. For some people who have amethyst, they can drink a bunch of alcohol and not get intoxicated. Not telling anyone to do that because that's very harmful, but amethyst is very good to help your mind stay sober. This is a stone of the kings. Way back then, in the time of the kings and queens, amethyst was demanded by the kings. It was demanded by people in the highest powers because, number one, it's purple, and that color was very rare back then. And number two, when they had that stone in their crown, just on them, it helped them make very wise decisions. Helped them make very stern decisions that they would not be rattled by the thoughts of their enemies, because kings and queens, people in leaders in charge, were constantly under psychic attack. They were constantly under their enemies and people even in their own ranks, sending them negative energy with their mind against their mind to try and throw them off. Amethyst is a very special crystal because it dismantles psychic attack. It completely shreds apart dark energy. If you can see how a bunch of these look like teeth, and I don't really like to say that they look like teeth, but let's just pretend this is a mouth. This basically shreds and devours any dark energy, entity, anything sent towards you. It rips up. It flat out rips it up. It dismantles it very gently and very powerfully, but very subtly. It's not going to do it like black tourmaline or obsidian, where it's just flat out like overwhelmingly ripping it apart. Amethyst, people ask, how do crystals work? So basically, I have this I have a chunk of amethyst on me. How is it working? How is this working? What's it doing to help? So basically, you can think of this like a router, like Wi-Fi. You don't see routers or Wi-Fi working, but when there's one little tiny router box or a little Wi-Fi box, let's say it's Comcast, the entire apartment building will have, everyone in the building will have Wi-Fi on their laptops. It's needed for them to be on their laptops or on their computers or on their phones, because without it, they're not going to connect. Same thing with amethyst. It helps us connect to the higher realms. It helps us. I like to think of amethyst as kind of like a spiritual bubble around the head specifically. So people ask, what's the difference between using amethyst and black tourmaline for stopping psychic attack? Amethyst guards the mind very specifically. Black tourmaline stops everything. It'll break just to shatter. It'll break just to shatter any curse that's directed towards you, but it would rather sacrifice itself. Amethyst rarely needs charging. It rarely needs cleansing unless it's under heavy fire, heavy work. But how this works is there's 100,000 little tiny strings you cannot see, kind of like Wi-Fi, kind of like different signals or cellular signals, and there's 100 little tiny strings just kind of moving around. If you ever see those energy balls, like if you touch them and all the energy will go straight to your finger. But the way the amethyst works is that it's just kind of like waving and weaving. When it senses negative energy, it just kind of like grabs it and just shreds it apart. Same thing with dark entities. They cannot stand it. It shreds them apart as well. It shreds things apart with in a very gentle and subtle way. It just kind of rips it apart and just kind of like strongly yet subtly dismantles any darkness sent towards you or around you or even within you. Amethyst is It's one of people's favorite, but I can also say it's a very slept on crystal because people don't know what it truly does. So amethyst acts as a bubble around the head. It connects you to the higher realms. It helps open and develop spiritual gifts. So a lot of people will ask, or a lot of people will start off with, what's their first crystal ever? A lot of people's first crystal is amethyst just because it's so beautiful. But I always suggest root chakra crystals. Amethyst is good too, but this is very good for developing spiritual gifts. It's opening pathways that have been maybe shut off or closed, maybe in past lives, maybe by past people you've been around, like friendships, anything. So anything that might have closed off any abilities, maybe even you closed off your own abilities. Amethyst helps undo that because it helps us dissolve patterns that are not working out for us. Remember that this is a purple crystal. If you're someone who has a really tough time remembering crystals, think amethyst, purple, crown. What is the crown? Crown has to do with higher spiritual knowledge. It has to do with spiritual gifts. It has to do with connecting to your guides. That's exactly what amethyst does. It does everything that you look up for the crown chakra does. Amethyst is purple. It resonates at the violet flame frequency. It is very powerful in protecting you. So two things that it's good for is it's good for dreaming as well. It's good to protect your sleep. That's one major thing about amethyst. You can keep it next to your nightstand on the bed. It's a very powerful sleep protector because as you sleep, it's ripping apart any dark energy sent towards you. People who don't like amethyst or people who don't want amethyst around you, they're usually doing something very dark themselves. If you ever catch someone saying, oh, that amethyst is ugly, or oh, that thing doesn't work, that person has a lot of dark energy on them, and that's a big red flag for you to beware. If that wasn't before me telling you now, then now you know. But if someone doesn't like amethyst, it's one of the most beautiful crystals ever. It's one of the most powerful crystals ever. It does have different ways to stop people's connections to you, but it's very subtle in that way. It's more to keep your mind sober, insane, and especially for people who have drug problems or alcohol problems, amethyst is a very powerful crystal just for that because it helps you it helps you fill the void. For example, my friend, he got out of rehab and he said to me he felt a void. I didn't know what that means because I've never had a drug addiction, but I gave him amethyst and he said it was something weird that he's never felt. He said he was in rehab and he's never, the people in rehab, there was one person who had amethyst and they were getting better and he let them hold the amethyst and he felt better after he had the amethyst, and that's how he knows about amethyst. But he said amethyst filled the void for him. It filled some kind of gaping gap within him, some kind of hole in his soul that drugs usually filled for him. So basically, he had an amethyst bracelet. I'm not going to say what happened to the friend, but he let too many people touch his amethyst, and too many people steal the energy from the amethyst, and he ended up relapsing. I'm not saying it's because he let everyone touch his bracelet, and now that's why he relapsed, but it does happen. Don't let people touch your crystals. Don't let people touch your bracelets. Don't let people touch your amethyst. When people want to touch your amethyst, if you ever notice when people try to touch your crystals or touch you without even you wanting them to touch you, or you didn't even ask them to touch you, or like you don't want to be touched, they're usually trying to rob you of your energy. Hand chakra, your chakras, negative, positive, gradient, energy always goes from a higher scale to a lower scale, so it'll equal out. So people will try to steal your energy just by touching your crystals. That's why it usually breaks after someone touches it or someone deals with it. That's just what happens. Amethyst is very powerful as a protector, spiritual uplifter, and it helps sleep, spiritual gifts, dreaming, and everything. That is pretty much everything about amethyst. There's a few other things about amethyst that you can do, like different exercises, like you can hold amethyst in your hand, for example, and if you want to open your spiritual gifts of being able to tell what crystals do, right when you hold amethyst, challenge yourself. Set a timer. Write 5, 10, 20 things down about amethyst that you have no idea anything about amethyst. You might come up with something about amethyst that I have not found yet in amethyst, because there are different kinds of amethyst. Maybe the chevrons, Cape amethyst, the dogtooth amethyst, just different kind of amethysts that resonate with different frequencies. It's all kind of the same, but all a little bit different. There's a lighter form of amethyst. There's pink amethyst, there's black amethyst, but this is regular amethyst. This is a very high grade amethyst. I do have amethyst on my website as necklaces and as bracelets. It is a very powerful crystal. You usually start feeling a lot better when you start wearing or keeping amethyst around you. And my website is floridastoneman.com. I always forget to talk about my website. But amethyst is a very powerful crystal. If you ever want to have something to protect you just by keeping it around you, wear amethyst. Keep amethyst on you. You don't really have to think about it after you put your intentions in it and program it. Amethyst is your best friend. It's one of the most powerful crystals ever. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments. Until then, I will see you guys next time. Ciao.